Anthony Melchiori, January 5th, 2022. What does that mean to you?
That means I just solved a very complicated problem.
You sure did. Even more complicated than my peace of mind.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey, everybody. Anthony Melchiori is right over there. I, of course, am Glenn Hausman, and you have been tuning in to No Vacancy Live. Aren't we a fortunate crew to be having everyone get together 4 days a week here on No Vacancy Live? Anthony?
We are fortunate. Hey, what is the problem I solved, Glenn?
All right. So all of you out there know that some good folks in Virginia seem to have been trapped on the highway for days, it seemed, 24, 25 hours, some even 36 hours, we just found out from our guest who's behind stage right now. But you said, hey, I got an idea on how to solve it. And we're wondering why none of us had thought of that, nor the folks who are tasked with solving problems solved it.
Well, I don't understand. I don't watch the news, so I just caught little bits and pieces of it. Yeah. And, and it's horrible, the things that happened during that 24-hour period on that line.
Yep.
But there's a barrier. And on the other side of the barrier, it was empty. Right. Why didn't the construction crew just come in, knock down the barrier for half a mile, which would probably take them a half hour, with a big truck, not just push the barrier out of the way and have people take a U-turn and go another way? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Really good point, Anthony, and a shame that we don't seem to be able to figure out.
If you're listening to this, please tell me why that nobody did that, and am I being too simple? Which I am very much a simple.
No, I mean, seriously, if it was one of those metal barriers, they could have just.
There's a concrete barrier, bro. We can break concrete. We have the technology to break concrete.
Dude, I've seen them take those things and lower them in. They can just.
But even if it's a wall, even if it's a 30-foot steel wall, they can knock it down.
And even if it's a 30-foot steel wall, they still slide them all into place. They could just pull it back out.
Yeah, Michael Strahan went into space. We can knock down the barrier.
That is a very good point. And, I as long as Michael Strahan's in space, we can solve any problems on Earth.
I don't understand. It's so simple. It's kind of, I can go on and on and on. It's like the other day, somebody said, I wish we would have had 500,000 testing units in the government just in case we had another surge. Right. Really? We have a person in charge of FEMA, and they didn't think, let's stockpile home testing now that we have it, just in case. I'm sorry. My job as a general manager, developer, and everything else is to try to solve problems before they happen.
Yeah.
All right. I'm done.
All right. Well, I will say, FEMA has always been portrayed as the heroes in all of these disaster movies and stuff like that. But every single time there's been a major disaster that I can remember over the last 20 years, starting in Katrina in New Orleans, they have not seemed to have their act.
Well, there was a gentleman under the Obama administration who actually works at the school that I work at, and he is amazing, and he did some amazing things, and he was actually the director of FEMA, and he was amazing. So FEMA is wonderful, but I just don't understand why whoever is in charge of having those tests, they didn't have it. So anyway, let's get on with the show.
All right, let's do it.
All right, where's that from? Let's get on with the show.
You're talking about, hold on. You are, of course, talking about Ed Sullivan?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you say hold on, just so you know, if you were a TikTok fan, you would know what that means. That would mean you have to jump into that character of the lady from Family Feud says, hold on, Holy Spirit, activate, Holy Spirit. You see, you don't get it.
I don't get that at all because as we discussed yesterday, I think it was off air. I've never actually loaded TikTok on TikTok.
So if we could break every rule in the book and Suzanne can pull it up, she'll pull it up. We can play that video at the end of the show.
I'm curious as to how many of the young people out there even know who Ed Sullivan is. Look it up because
we're in 2022 and you know who Ed Sullivan is, but you don't know Holy Spirit activate is. So you're the person that's out of touch, Glenn.
Well, I am a 51-year-old guy.
I'm 56 and I'm hip, bro. I'm hip.
You really are. You span decades of knowledge of popular culture. I like it. But just like Elvis, we're too afraid to show our hips on this TV because it might be too darn spicy. But someone who's going to really take us over to the next level, we've got back with us celebrating their 1-year anniversary of Curator Hotels and Resorts, Jennifer Barnwell, president over there. Welcome back. I'm surprised you're still backstage after this mess that's been going on here. I thought you would.
Anthony, you are much more hip than me too. I've never looked at TikTok.
Jennifer, first of all, I apologize because in the green screen, I didn't put 3 and 3 together. And how are you? It's been a year already.
It has been. It's been a little bit more than a year. Glenn and I were talking a little earlier. Yeah. So I was on your show with John Bortz, Pebblebrook CEO, back in December, and we were in the midst of the pandemic then. And now fast forward a little bit over a year later, and we're still dealing with all of this. It's crazy.
Yeah. And we'll be dealing with it for a very long time, but it seems, thank God, we haven't shut down America. That is the thing that like last night, my daughter went to a Knicks game, right? During the holidays, my daughter had COVID. She stayed home.
Right.
So now she's fine. She's been quarantined forever. And she went to a Knicks game. And she had a beer with her boyfriend, and they enjoyed the Knicks game. And I was so happy that after a week or 10 days in quarantine, that she was able to go out and the tickets that she got for her boyfriend, she was able to go to a Knicks game. And to see there were a lot of people wearing masks, a lot of people not wearing masks. You know what? You're boosted, you're vaccinated, you got to get out there, you got to have a beer, you have to watch the Knicks game. So I was so excited that, they have not shut down New York.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Jennifer, how excited are you about them not shutting down New York as someone who lives in the DC area?
Well, you don't shut down because of a snowstorm, I hear.
Well, my perspective is just on a personal note, it's just a little bit different because I have very small children. So we've just been really careful. I'm happy nonetheless that my husband and I are both vaxxed and boosted, and we're able to go out and, run errands and do the things we need to do because things aren't shut down completely around here either. But we're just being super careful because we have young kids that can't get vaccinated yet, but as soon as they can, they will get vaccinated.
Right. And that's what it should be. You should have the choice. It's not in the beginning where everybody has shut down and closed their shades, where I was that guy. And I was very careful. But now what I'm saying is we have to make our choices. I get very concerned when I see these little infants in the supermarket without a mask on. I'm like, oh, really? I don't know. So we all have to, but that's the mother's decision, right? Yeah. So we all have to have, right now we know we have a little bit more knowledge than we did. Anyway, so what's happening in your world?
All right, so let me tee this up. So
tee this up.
Those folks who didn't join us 1 year ago, we introduced here on the show the Curator Hotel and Resort Collection, which is a collection of hand-selected small brands, independent lifestyle hotels and resorts founded by Pebblebrook Hotel Trust and other industry-leading hotel operators. Really interesting story about companies such as Davidson and Noble House and Providence and Springboard, Viceroy, all have come together in order to create something that is going to benefit all of the folks involved. Jennifer, did I describe that well? And what else would you also add? Because I know it's also a buying collective too, right?
Yeah, you certainly did. So, it was our way of creating a platform for independent hotels to come together. So we like to say, we're bringing together independence and scale, which didn't necessarily exist before. And it was completely born out of Pebblebrook Hotel Trust's own experience with our portfolio of hotels and what we were able to accomplish for ourselves. So when Pebblebrook brought LaSalle, combined the company together, we took a really hard look and create a whole separate group that just spent a lot of time with vendors and service providers negotiating new agreements just for our hotels. And we're extremely successful with bringing down costs for ourselves. So we thought, why don't we roll this out for other independent hotels and small brand owners and operators to benefit, any and all independents? Because why not have us all work together to bring costs down for independents? Because it's so tough for independent hotels comparatively. We love that segment of our market. It's so fun. It's so interesting. It's really inspiring. It's really unique and creative. All those words you can use to describe independent hotels. So that was kind of the genesis of it, to roll out this new company that brings independent hotels in. And then they, by, basically membership, they're privy to all of our whole array of offerings, which, to talk about where we started when we originally launched near the end of November 2020 to where we are today, roughly a year later, we've got over 80 hotels in the collection.
Awesome.
We've got close to 80 what we call master service agreements. So that's kind of the crux of the offerings and what, people are most interested in, although there's a lot of other things we have to offer as well. If you come in as your independent hotel and become part of Curator, you can go through this list of, 70 plus master service agreements where we're trying to have, pretty much every item an independent hotel would need to run their operation. And they've all been the cost structure has all been pre-negotiated with this idea of scale, economies of scale and leverage. And everything we do is at a cheaper cost than, we've seen for our own independence, and that the other operators that operate independents can typically get on their own.
I think that's perfectly explained. And as an operator, it is probably the most important thing we can do. After you build the hotel and you're about to open the hotel, you put so much pressure on the general manager, to report into an asset manager to say, okay, what are we doing? How are we doing it? Why are we doing it? And let me see the contract. It takes away their brain power from what they have to do. And what we talked about yesterday when I went off on 10 tangents of service, because we're getting less and less touch points. So those touch points we have to be so much more ingrained. And the general manager that is knee deep in service agreements and contracts and trying to keep an asset manager out of their hair, can't really focus on the training. So this really alleviates a lot of pressure when you're getting that hotel open, or even when you're just operating a hotel. You're smiling because you understand what I'm talking.
You're absolutely hit the nail on the head, Anthony. It's, especially in these times, and one of the challenges everyone is talking about is resources. But you have a hotel that we've had great success with hotels in the collection where they have a specific need, or they have a contract that's coming up with expiration, and all they have to do is come to us. Like, we have all these resources. Like, what do you need? Do you need you need to do something about your AV agreement? You need to do something about your bottled water, or you want to start a coffee program, or you need to reevaluate all of the systems that are in your hotel because you're sick of dealing with the big guys that are all the legacy platforms, and you want something, more unique and innovative and nimble. Like we would like to think, we would believe, given, the resources we have at Pebblebrook, the experience, the reputation, we have independent hotels in our collection. It's what we do all day is vet what's out there and available. And we essentially put our stamp of approval on it if we do an agreement with someone for Curator.
I remember a general manager came in my office, a friend of mine, and we're sitting there and I'm looking through my spreadsheet of contracts and permits that are coming up. And I used to do it on like a 90-day rotating basis. And he comes around my desk and goes, "What's that?" Like, what do you mean? I got to know when all my contracts are up, and and I got to start bidding, and I have to know when my permits are up, and so I keep everything nice and organized. So I know most general managers aren't trained to do that. I don't know where I learned that, but somewhere I learned it, and it was like it's. And I guarantee you right now, if you go into 100 hotels, 90% of general managers will not have that database of when their contracts are due, when their service, all that. They won't have it. And so to be able to push a button, call you and say, "Hey, help me," it just alleviates a lot of stress.
Well, we even, I swear I didn't talk to Anthony and feed this information to him beforehand, but it's like amazing because you're right in my train of thought. So if you become a member of Curator, we actually have a whole system where it tracks every contract, every license, every permit, when your property taxes are due, when your liquor license renewals, everything we can put into a system, and it will send email alerts to a group of people, whoever you think should get it. And this is a system that was created by Pebblebrook. It's our own system that we'll roll out for the Curator hotels too. So you never miss one of those deadlines. It's like, what if something auto renews for 3 years and you missed it? It's like the worst.
What if you didn't renew that liquor license?
Oh my God, you're totally stuck. And if you miss your property taxes, you pay huge fees.
Your asset managers that are in this program probably love you.
Well, we created it for our asset managers. It was a Pebblebrook thing because it was like there's so much to keep track of. How do we do it? We have, a brilliant person here in in our group, Austin, who created this program. So you never miss a deadline or a term expiration or a notice period or anything like that.
And Jen, as you understand, being in this business as long as you have been, that simple fix goes all the way down to the housekeeper. And people are like, what do you mean? They're not involved in contracts, because the general manager understands that you got his back. So that's one less thing he has to deal with. Mm-hmm. So he's less stressed. So his management team is less stressed. So the housekeepers are less stressed. So they can focus on the things that they need to focus on. Because we know when you're running a hotel, from 7 o'clock in the morning, I get in at usually 7. And from about 8:30, I start my day where people have access to me. So for an hour and a half, I can get things done. And then from 8 o'clock, whatever, or 8:30, whatever I have on my plan for the rest of the day is gone out the window until I sit back at my desk at 6 o'clock, and until about 7:30, I have an hour and a half back to me. So through that whole day, it's not mine. And so if I can alleviate the stress during the day of, okay, what my contracts, and I can just be present in the operation. That's the key to success in our industry, is being present for your team. And what you do is you do all the nerd work to make me more successful as an operator.
Yeah. And when you get, you'll get an email notification to, you're in your team, and it'll say, your AV agreement is up in 90 days. All you got to do is log into our little Curator Salesforce CRM. Right. We have a couple different AV offerings, fantastic groups. Again, we stand behind them. We use them. And then we can facilitate that whole transaction. It may be an incumbent that you already deal with, but we can
somebody
facilitate
other than Encore still exists out there? That's exciting to hear.
Oh, yeah.
And what's interesting, if Pebblebrook called one of those service providers, it's serious. If I call them from my 1 or 2 or 3 hotels, okay, but if somebody from your office or you call them and say, we're a little concerned about something, everybody starts to shake and you get their attention.
Yeah, and listen, Curator's bigger than Pebblebrook. So it's mutually beneficial. If these vendors can execute well and deliver, they're going to get more and more business. And then if we can execute and deliver as Curator, we're going to get more and more hotels into the collection. So hopefully it's always, always going up together.
And Jen, I'm sure a buying collective such as it you have now helped you weather the most unexpected storm. Here we are worrying about getting people in the door to stay as a year ago during this pandemic. But we never thought that, oh my God, it'd be tough to get supplies, equipment, all of that stuff because of shortages out there and supply chain issues. Has this community that you've put together helped you weather that particular storm as well?
I would say maybe marginally. I mean, it's really hard for everybody. I can't, say that just magically Curator is able to get supplies that other people can't. But we do, like Anthony was alluding to, we do get the attention because Pebblebrook's pretty big. And of course, Curator is bigger. So we've been able to really facilitate communication with all of our member hotels. So all the suppliers, the GPOs we work with, they will let us know, so in one instance in particular, linen costs are going to go up in about 30 days. So put your orders in now. So like a message like that for us to disseminate to all of our 80 plus member hotels, and for them to get on it right away before costs can go up, 10, 20, 30%. That I think is a good takeaway. And then just, they do come to us. We've had some issues from time to time with suppliers and getting product. And, in most cases we have alternatives. So if one vendor maybe can't deliver, then maybe we have someone else who can. But to be honest, it's really tough for everybody right now.
You're muted, dude. Music to my ears, though. What can I tell you? Dude, you muted yourself, and we can't unmute you over on this side.
I said the good news is it becomes your problem, not my problem.
Not my problem. I just keep talking to Jennifer.
No, I said when she said what she said, I said those issues become her problem, not my problem. I have somebody working for me. I'm sorry, I was on mute. But no, it's and how bad is it? Is it? I hear different things. How bad is it?
I think some of the basics, like I think linen and terry, are probably still pretty tough. We're still in the midst of some renovations, and that it's tough to get things off the boat. In some cases, you can see them. In some cases, you can't even get your stuff on the boat, in another country to even come over here because so many other boats are in line in front of you. So I think, it's not so bad for some of the hotels, especially, I know maybe we'll get into this too, but, in the urban locations, the occupancies are still pretty low and the demand is pretty low. For our hotels, the independents especially that are unique and memorable and the, drive-to locations and the resorts, they are really cranking and they're having issues with labor for sure. That's probably number one. And then, the operating supplies, it is still tough. I think it's more a function of price there than it is maybe availability.
Yeah, you're solving a problem at the perfect time. First of all, being in the hotel business, we all know that we always come to the party late with technology and systems. And this system should have been in place 30 years ago before we started having independent hotels at this scale. And it's like the cart went before the horse. And it's like this should have been in place, right? Somewhere in the world, somebody should have created this a long time ago. You're creating it now, and it's a perfect time because general managers, I remember somebody said the other day on our show, I think it was on our show, it's like, I gave our hotels directors of human resources now, giving back them so the general managers can help clean the rooms. I said, congratulations, you allowed your general manager to have a human resources director so they can go clean rooms. So that's where we're at, that this product is so important because general managers are cleaning rooms.
Oh my gosh, our teams, they're exhausted. It's really tough. And we just had, just talking from the Pebblebrook side, obviously everyone just went through a budget process and, our chief executives here, like they do every year. They took the time to have meetings with every single hotel. Most of them were in person because things weren't quite as bad back in, late November, early December as they are now. And we're just so appreciative. Everyone has to really think about what's going on with your staff at the hotel now, how hard they're working and everything they're doing. They're doing 20 other jobs that they didn't have to do 2 years ago. Yeah. So we're really appreciative and they are getting tired. They are getting burnt out. And we're asking, to the extent they can, to take some breaks and, self-care, all those kind of things.
And you talk about what we talked about yesterday is we bring people in, say, we're going to give you a career, but all we do is give them a job and we give them more and more work and they never hear about their career part of it. But right. You guys having that in person, you took that opportunity before everything went crazy to get in there and they're seeing the chief executives in their building and appreciating them. They're saying, oh, I am part of a team. I do have a career. I just don't have a job. Because a lot of times when you're just working 8-10 hours a day, you just think you have a job. That little meeting allows me to think that I do have a career.
Yeah. And I think, Pebblebrook's been, very smart in the different operating groups that they work with and also being very involved in the operation. So what we've seen is, instead of someone, working up through their career and, moving to another city for some other hotel owner, there's a lot of opportunity to stay within Pebblebrook. So we've been very blessed with hotels moving around. They may move from one operator to another, but they stay in the Pebblebrook family of owned hotels. So that's helped us a little bit, I would say, with the labor shortage and crisis right now, because we've seen people, instead of just leaving our portfolio of hotels, they just move around within it.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
And you have leverage. The way you guys have built this over the period of time, what is it, 10 years really, where you guys really put your foot on the gas? Has it been that long?
For Pebblebrook, we're at 12.
12. Okay, so I was close. and with the way you build it,
plus something-year-old guy time that you nailed it because everything's always much longer.
It goes so fast though. It was like we were a little startup back in early 2010, and it's like, how did all that time go by?
Yeah, it started literally. I remember them, everyone telling the story where I think it was over lunch. I don't even know if it was on the podcast, and it was a simple, quick kind of like, hey, let's do this, and then all of a sudden you have this big company, but you're very strategic. You're very slow but fast, and you're very thoughtful, and you built the company in that way. And when people say you're slow but fast, what does that mean? It's like you're slow getting all the right information and then make a decision. Don't sit and wait, 10 years to make a decision, but get all the information before you make a decision, and then make the damn decision. And that to me, I'm awed by the way Pebblebrook built this company. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, they've been very methodical and data driven. So we've always had kind of very specific targets and kind of the type of hotel we would want to buy, where we would want to buy them. And you see that obviously come out in our portfolio, and the things that, if we've strayed a little bit from what people may have expected, it was something extremely opportunistic, and we probably already exited out of that. It's been pretty amazing to see, the trajectory, I would say. And even recently, I mean, you guys have seen everything we've done recently. We sold a couple hotels in San Francisco, and in, exchange, we bought a couple resorts, and it seems like a pretty good decision so far. We're pretty excited about the new assets we've brought into the portfolio.
Yeah, that's Ray is data driven. I didn't realize Ray was data driven.
Oh my God, he sure is.
I called him up and I asked him a question about something, and he goes, "Hold on a second." He went like this.
He's like, "Let me put it in a spreadsheet."
He went like, no, he had the spreadsheet. It was a very specific city, very specific question. He went like this, and he threw off 37,000 numbers. I learned more from him every time I'm on a phone call with him than I learned from college or anyone I've ever met in my life. Seriously, he is, and I'll say it, he's the smartest person in the business, period.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, think about it. Since the end of 2009, all of the data we have for owned hotels, for ourselves on a monthly basis, a weekly basis. And these guys were so smart when they set up the company. We have this amazing database program. We can slice and dice the data, any way you want. Our monthly reports for our portfolio, it's probably like 100 plus pages. And these guys look at every page. I mean, you could call John right now and he would probably know the ADR of every single hotel in December.
John and Ray are the most impressive people in our industry, and they're calm and they're thoughtful. And it seems to me to be in the hotel business, because it is the hospitality business, the people business. There's so much emotion in our business. And what Pebblebrook does is take the emotion out and focus on the numbers and focus on the people. And that to me is amazing.
And it's, just to that point, it's, to kind of bring it back around to Curator, that's what's helped us, I think, and will continue to help us with Curator. The learnings from the Pebblebrook side of things when I was an asset manager there, it was, yes, for sure, it's about the numbers. We want to have high profitability and flow through, and therefore high value and stock price and all that good stuff. But we don't shove it down anybody's throat. I mean, this is truly a partnership with our management companies, with our hotel teams, and we don't go in dictating anything. We don't say you have to do this or you have to do that. I make my case to them about things just the way they make their case to me about things. And that's our approach with Curator. We tried to make it basically risk-free, totally unstructured, totally transparent, and you can opt into whatever you want, but there's no requirements. But hopefully the things are so compelling and we continue to provide cost savings and value that all these hotels are, going to stay in year after year, because we're hustling every day to try to put more agreements in place and find that value for these independent hotels.
Yeah, that's right. So, Curator was recognized by the Independent Lodging Conference as Indie Rebel this past year, pioneering new ideas and pushing those boundaries in hospitality. And I could see why. The story you're telling us really is showing what's going on behind the scenes. But what about from that customer point of view? Because you did launch Curator Hotels and Resorts.com, unifying all of these. How is that portion of it working? And how are you finding new customers to experience all of these different properties, 80 plus?
Yeah, I would say, to that point, initially kind of, what if we want to call it kind of phase one, it's more, B2B, try to grow this platform, get the member hotels in to experience these cost savings. The website purposefully was made very visually appealing and graphic in nature. Part of it is, we can't help ourselves as hoteliers. Like, we love the videos and the beautiful pictures, and we certainly want to show our member hotels in the best light possible. So it's very graphic, very visual, but ultimately, if a customer or a guest comes to the Curator site, they will then be led off to any particular hotel site to learn more and to book. We're not at the phase now in Curator where we're thinking, or we've determined any guest facing, or revenue potential. That's all going to be guided by our member hotels and our board of advisors, which are the CEOs of all of our founding members, like some of those that you mentioned earlier. So if we go in that direction, thinking about how we can help these independents band together for mutual benefit from the revenue side, that may be something we dig into down the road, but we're just not there yet. In the meantime, come to our website. We're doing everything we can to optimize it from both B2B, but also B2C, because ultimately, again, the customers will end up on those hotel websites, which is where we want them to book those hotels.
Right. Because truthfully, it's going to be a consumer brand in itself. You want people to think Curator and think of the vast panoply of opportunities that they have to enjoy themselves differently. I happen to be not standing at Hotel Zeta, for example, in San Francisco. But you've got, even like the Margaritaville Resort in Florida. You've got the Solamar Hotel in San Diego. You've got Teton Mountain Lodge in Wyoming. Wide swath.
We've got a whole slew of hotels in Denver and Portland. And
you just bought the Margaritaville in Orlando?
No, Hollywood.
Oh, that one. When did you buy that?
I think it closed in November, I want to say.
I missed that one.
Oh, yeah. We bought Margaritaville, Hollywood, and we bought Estancia, which is north of San Diego. And then before those two, we bought Jekyll Island in Georgia. So those are the three most recent acquisitions Pebblebrook has had.
Wow.
Right?
Pretty busy.
Awesome.
Very busy. But it's so exciting. I mean, they're really exciting assets. I think we can do some great improvements to Jekyll and potentially Estancia too. And lucky for me, like you mentioned earlier, Independent Lodging Congress, hopefully they still have their conference next month in Miami. So I'm going to be able to actually see Margaritaville in person. Yeah. And I get to go accept that award in person. So
that is awesome.
I'll have to dress like a rebel that day.
I have not yet been to the Hollywood resort, and it's so embarrassing. I've been promising Tamara over at Margaritaville Island for 5 years now that I'm going to get down there, and I still haven't made it.
I'm going to be down there. I'm going to be down there next week. Maybe I'll stop by.
Right,
please
just rub salt.
Let us know. Let us know. It's pretty amazing. It's fantastic. So I'm excited to see it as well.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, if hotels are interested in becoming part of it, is it open to everybody or just these companies that you're with? And how can different companies get involved?
It's definitely open to any independent hotel, domestic, even, internationally. A lot of our MSAs can apply kind of no matter where you are globally, believe it or not, many of them. So it's just a function of, you can absolutely go to the website to find us. You can find me kind of pretty easily as well, through my LinkedIn for sure. And, there's actually not a big process involved. And again, it's just like, we're trying to be simple, right. owner-centric, owner-oriented, very flexible. So we don't go in and do inspections. There's no checklists. There's no brand standards, anything like that. It's just all about, can we help this hotel, save money, optimize itself, increase its value? It's just about that. We're not just going to accept everybody unless we think we can benefit them. So there's a little bit of a process in terms of, we do have these prospecting calls with hotels to explain who we are, what we have to offer. And it's so low risk that, right. A lot of hotels just sign up, get in, and then we have this amazing, robust account management program involved where we onboard the hotels. It's a full immersion into what Curator is and what we have to offer. And then I'd say we're relentless. We're like all over the hotels,
right.
Every day, every week, every other week, every month, because we really are passionate about getting the hotels enrolled in these offerings and getting them to save some money. So that's kind of the gist of it.
That's a good word, relentless.
That I stole from Ray.
I would say you
he
guys
told us we have to be relentless.
But the word relentless describes you guys perfectly, because you're like, when I think of companies like you that built as fast as you do, as you did, and everything you're doing, you just think of chaos, because we've all been around, and we've all been around the chaos. We've all been around the emotional executives. We've all been around the craziness. You guys are relentless in a professional, quiet, respectful manner. And I haven't really seen that across the board when you're building something so great. And that to me is really is a great word for what you guys do. You really, really, really are relentless in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah, and I think it just goes back to, we can really believe in what we're doing and stand behind it, because we were all part of it on the Pebblebrook hotels, like in actuality, in real time, seeing what we could do for ourselves. And, again, there's just the passion that we have for these independent lifestyle hotels. And there's no reason why we can't band together to help each other, because we don't want to and don't have any say in how you operate your hotel, how you staff your hotel, how your hotel looks and feels, and your service levels. That's completely up to each owner and operator. And that's where they shine. And, again, to what you're saying earlier, Anthony, that's where we want them to spend their time and their focus.
Jen, you had said the word optimize hotels when they come in. Beyond becoming part of the purchasing collective, what does that mean to you?
To me, it means just to make sure that you have the appropriate, I would say, I don't know if appropriate is the right word, but kind of the best systems that fit your hotel operation. So, I would say one of the learnings, and we've experienced this ourselves, because, nobody is perfect, but there is a certain amount of what I would call complacency, in our industry and in certain hotels. And it's just really easy to keep renewing the same agreements year over year and keep using the same systems year over year, because change is hard and disruptive, especially where systems are concerned. But we are cheerleaders, I would say, for that right now, especially in this environment. Like, this is the time. And one of the learnings from the pandemic, we did it for ourselves at Pebblebrook. Mm-hmm. You took a look at every single thing you do in the hotel, like every aspect of how you operate and you do business, who you do business with became very important. Do they view it as a real partnership? I mean, when our revenues and our operations were decimated, who was there to help us get through this? So when I said optimize, it was like, our view is now is the time. I mean, even a year and a half ago but still now is the time to really take a hard look at how you do every single thing in your hotel operation. And if you're willing, and we're there beside you the whole time to make some of these more disruptive changes, it can be in the best benefit of the hotel operation and the value of the asset for the, short to long term. If you do it now, save you a lot of money. You may be able to operate a little bit more efficiently, so that your team can spend time on other things they haven't had time to spend time on. So that's kind of, what I was getting at. Systems, products, services. We even sustainability is such an important concept for us at Pebblebrook and us at Curator. And, now's the time. We have this wonderful coffee company we partner with that has compostable pods. And, how can we continue to do, capture IT and use apps and systems to be, more paperless and more responsible. So, there's just so much out there. I mean, we've got so many agreements.
Best practices. It's great. If somebody comes upon a great idea, you could share it with the other founding partners, for example.
Absolutely.
And everybody's, tides could rise, right?
Yeah. Now's the time. Like, really take a look at everything you do and how you do it. And again, we can go back to the resource issue. It's really hard now, but that's why we're here. Like, you can feel confident that we have vetted everything that's out there, and we have those conversations. I mean, when we bring hotels on board, well, we use this, this system or this product. Well, we went through a whole vetting and RFP, for this product or service, and here's what we found and why we chose this one instead. And this is how easy or, moderately difficult it will be to move over to this. So why not do it? So we're just really passionate about it.
And have you noticed companies getting better and more efficient because you can bring in more product, you can bring in more hotels, and they know how important you guys are. So maybe they've changed some of their bad habits to improve. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would say generally, we don't engage with anyone that we haven't had a good experience with. But to your point, I think the answer to that would be like some of the tech platforms,
right?
BI tool, CRM, they are very willing, even PMS systems, to work with us on any feedback we may have. Because in a lot of cases, I know it's a cliche, but we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. So Pebblebrook has put these new, not the big guys, not these legacy systems. We've tried these new systems in our hotels. We've tried these new products and services in our hotels. So we've gone through it, we've vetted them, we've used them, and we have feedback for them because, again, no one's perfect. And these PMS companies, the IT systems platforms, they hear our feedback, they take it seriously. They've made course correction, they've made corrections. We have plans with some companies to increase their offerings, expand their offerings, over the next 3, 6, 9 months, so that we can always keep telling a positive story and we can keep evolving. So yes, thankfully, again, it's all kudos to my team here. They really push the envelope and really push these vendors and service providers to be the best that they can and keep evolving.
Yeah.
So if you're a restaurant group, but you don't have any hotels, would you guys work with restaurant groups?
We definitely would. And others have brought it up too. So yes, absolutely. I think there could definitely be some synergies there. To date, we've really focused on the independent hotels because the pool is actually way bigger than we ever thought it was. The more deep we go into this prospecting, but absolutely. I mean, we haven't announced it yet, but we do have a non-hotel member that we're going to be announcing pretty soon here. Nice. So maybe that will spur some more of that.
Now. It's okay.
No, my PR person will kill me if I say it now.
Listen, I imagine universities, hospitals, they can all benefit from this.
Yeah. That's in our future, Anthony.
I know. I read your mind.
So speaking about that future, what are you seeing as some of the big trends that we should be thinking about in the coming years, hotel years, and how are you addressing those?
Yeah, I think, specific to Curator, when I think about, our kind of very short-term and immediate goals, it's obviously just to keep delivering for our members and keep, increasing our offerings. We want to continue to grow the collection because that's certainly going to benefit everybody. The bigger we get, should benefit everybody. And again, there may be other avenues that we can offer up to, or, other disciplines that we can offer up to in offerings to the member hotels that we don't have today. Again, if our members and our board of advisors lead us down those paths, I think it's going to continue to be, anything you can do to help the labor problem. Everything and anything, that's a key focus for all of our hotels, making sure you're on top of, all your operating supplies, whatever you need, be on top of that and try to make sure you have what you need. And just trying to be flexible and nimble, which is why we love these independent and lifestyle hotels so much. And we've seen great success with them, like I've said, in the resort locations especially, but any drive-to markets, any kind of memorable experiential travel is really what people are doing now. I mean, I know you guys follow the trends and have talked about it with other guests, but, leisure travel is exploding comparatively. Business travel isn't really, back yet, which is why our urban hotels are, still suffering to a great degree. But anything these hotels can do to make sure they're getting out there with their message of what they have to offer, what makes them unique, deals to, stay as long as you can and, have the facilities and the capabilities for people to do their work remotely at your hotel is a big deal now. People love to go and stay for extended periods of time. Even though, we've got Omicron going on right now, I think we're still seeing a fair amount of people traveling especially not me with my small kids, but maybe people that have older kids.
Glenn, do you want to impress her with your knowledge of the word?
What, that it's not Omnicrom, and she was correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Omnicrom.
It is not. I've been hearing a lot of people calling it that.
No, yesterday he impressed us with his ability to pronounce the word.
Oh, thank God. Well, I do watch the news a fair amount, Anthony, unlike you. So hopefully it's drilled into my brain.
We set the bars really low here.
Well, I'm on the show. That's why.
Craig says, hey, you got to love that bleisure market for sure. So, Jen, any permanent changes that you think are going to take place systemically with the way that people work that you're going to be able to leverage beyond just making sure they have good internet so they can get stuff done from their room?
I think people, it's all about, I think, having choice, like having the offering. So I'll tell you that, in a lot of cases, we've been trying to, test the mobile check-in and the mobile key. Mm-hmm. And from our experience, for the most part, it's not, there's John.
I love that guy.
Yeah. For us, we like to say at least give the choice. We haven't had a huge uptake of that technology, fortunately or unfortunately. I don't have a commentary on it per se, but have the options, maybe have the QR codes, but also a printed menu. I mean, my husband hates the QR code. He wants a menu. I don't care either. I can go either way, right?
I got 5 minutes on this, Jen, because what I'm finding is that they take the QR code, but it's basically 90% of the time I found it's just a photograph of the menu. Nobody takes the time to create something wholly designed for a positive experience on it. So I'm sure he's annoyed because of that, because you can't see the whole menu. You don't get a feeling.
Yeah, you got to keep scrolling.
And you got to keep changing the sizes of everything.
Yeah.
I find it very disturbing. When Anthony and I were in Vegas last month, we were like, we'll take the real menus, please.
Yes.
And you're very proud of it. I touched it a lot just to freak people out.
And Jen, he just talks about that dinner like it was just any other dinner. That was one of the best dinners I've ever had in my life.
Wow. Where was it?
Yeah. Well, the company was great. The food was good.
Where were we, Glenn?
Kusonori at Resorts World Las Vegas, which is awesome.
Wow,
the waiter was amazing. The server was amazing. The food was amazing. The company was amazing. It was just one of those, like with everything we've been through, it's just one of those, I feel like this is what life's supposed to feel like, right? And it was just it was me and Glenn. It was just us. And it was the food was amazing. Everything that we tried was better than the thing we tried before. It was it was phenomenal.
Speaking of Resort World, let me send out a congratulations to Sean Christie and Brian Bass for the opening of Carver Steak on New Year's Eve at Resorts World Las Vegas. So I can't wait to go check that out when I'm there in February. And we're going to have those guys on the show talk about what it's like opening up a brand new steakhouse in the coolest new resort in Las Vegas. So that should be a lot of fun.
Can I back up for a second?
Oh, please.
Because one of the things, first of all, I wanted to mention before I forget. Remember when there was that moment everybody took desks out of the room? Never mind.
We never did that.
Everybody used a desk, right? So, I want to really talk about this for a second. The word I hate the most in our business is culture. And the reason I hate the word culture is because I love the word culture and everybody's ruined it because everybody used it just to use it. Oh, our culture, our culture, our culture. When you look at Pebblebrook and I look at what you guys have built, I truly think the purity of that word is kind of back when I look at Pebblebrook. Culture is so important to what you guys do. And working with John and working with Ray and working with the people around you and working on such big, intense projects. And you were handed something that was a rocket ship and you had to hold it. And that was a lot to hold. And that you can kind of minimize it and we can come in here, we can talk about it. And it seems, that's great. They're wonderful. But I know what you held for the last year. And that's a rocket ship. To hold that rocket ship and to build it and to be in a culture where people are supportive and you've been around, what does that mean?
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you just the funny thing is I wondered if he was gonna like come into the room at some point to say hi to you guys. I mean, that like kind of encapsulates it. Like John, it emanates from the top. And those are words out of his mouth all the time. Like he takes the company culture and how that translates into our success very seriously. And so it started from the beginning. I mean, he's incredibly approachable.
Yeah.
Even though, he's incredibly brilliant.
Insanely approachable.
And I came in to Pebblebrook, 11 years ago, and didn't know everything. And he's at ease kind of mentoring me and understanding, like, it's okay if I don't know everything, even though I came in as the first asset manager, as he is like, walking through the cubes and talking to our analysts, even though he scares them to death. He doesn't understand why, So I think it's important to, John, Tom, and Ray, that they are approachable, that they're involved, that they are seen. It's really hard, and it's really hard for them to close our office. Like technically,
right,
they've told everyone you can't come in anymore. And if you want to come in, I guess so, but ask permission, and only, a few people can be here. So that's really hard on them because they love the interaction. They want to talk to people. They want to see people. They want collaboration. They want people who want careers. Just like you said earlier, Anthony, that is the whole point. It's, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, which is fine. But, they want, for the most part, in a safe way, people to be here, people to interact, people to love what they do, to grow here and have careers here. So I've obviously been the beneficiary of that, and I'm very grateful for it.
I was looking at a graph the other day, and do you want high performers that are easy to work with, or would you rather have people that are easy to work with that aren't at the highest level of performance? And I think to work in your company, you have to be a high performer. You have to be really smart. But like you said, you may or may not be the smartest person in the room, but you're smart. You're smart enough to be there, but you're approachable and you're easy to deal with. And what people have to understand, I don't care how damn smart you are, okay? I want you to be have some level of intelligence because you have to do a job, but you have to be approachable and you have to be fluid and you have to be open to the process. And that to me is so important because it would be scary to work for Pebblebrook. Even if I ever came in to work for Pebblebrook, it would be scary. The level of intelligence there is scary, but it's approachable, and not everybody is Ray, and not everybody is John.
Right. We're all very different.
Right.
Every asset manager here, there's 10 of them. Everyone is very different and does things a little bit differently. And that's totally fine because everyone is, good at what they do.
Right. When I was an asset manager, I think I should have worked for Pebblebrook instead. I think I would have done much better.
You need your time machine, Anthony.
Anthony may not have driven you to follow your passion to get on television. It might have changed.
I didn't have a passion to get on television. I had a passion to teach this business. Mm-hmm. And again, maybe my perspective is unique because, again, I've done a lot. I've done not only the business, but I've been outside the business, teaching the business on television. I get such a kick of what you've done in the last year. Like, I can't tell you how much fun it is to talk to you about to see where you came from a year ago with this business to now. The level, just watching you, the level of confidence that you have from the day one when you were launching this till now in the business itself was like, okay, this is what we're thinking. This is what we theorize. This is what we put on paper. We think it's going to work. And now somewhere during the last year, you're like, oh my God, everything we said is working on rocket ship fuel.
We're doing our best. We're trying. We have a lot further to grow. So that's what I'm focused on.
Yeah.
Relentless. I'm never satisfied.
All right. It seems like a great place to wrap this up since we're out of time. Jen, how can people learn more about Curator Hotels and find you guys?
Well, you can go to curatorhotelsandresorts.com is our website. And you can always email me, jbarnwell@curatorhotelsandresorts.com. And I think that's probably the best way. Website and email me. Yeah. Thank you.
Jen, thank you so much. Will you guys be over at the Alice conference in a few weeks?
I hope so. Like, we're scheduled to go unless it goes virtual or we hear a lot of people aren't going. We want to be there and would love to be there and meet with everybody who is interested in us.
If it goes virtual, tell me the person that made that decision. I'm gonna go find them. It can't go virtual. We need to be there.
I know.
Listen, there's safe ways to do this, and we're not where we were 2 years ago, where we didn't have the science and we didn't know, and you were going to die if you got corona. I mean, this is. Yeah. I hope we do it. We need to do it. We need to do it.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why
I'd love to be there.
Yeah, we'll be there and we'll be broadcasting live. Jen Barnwell.
Awesome. Guys, thanks so much. This was really fun.
Tell everyone I said hi.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Anthony, that's great. I really, like you were saying, it's so great to see, a company come together and make so many strides in just 1 year. How great is this story? Is this?
I think it's great, but I'll tell you what's even better.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's even better. I love Pebblebrook. I love all of them. And it's like, you see how excited I get about things like this, because I'm a nerd at heart. And I love when we fix problems. And this has been such a crazy big problem for hotels, that you give a general manager so much responsibility, then you expect them to deal with master service agreements and deal with permits. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day, and it takes away their emotional capacity to deal with their employees. So when you have, and that's why brands have been so successful, because, we'll solve these problems, and they don't solve a lot of these problems. So I am so excited that it's working for them, but I'm more excited that after, how many shows have we done?
This, I think, is 562.
And one of the things that I always say to you is like, hey man, I'm sorry I stole the show a little bit, whereas I just kept on talking, and you always are so respectful. And I've always wondered why you are so patient and respectful. But then I get a text mid-show saying, you got to let me participate.
You didn't, comma, please.
No. And I love the fact that you were so calm when you wrote that, because you must have been boiling inside, because you're such a nice person, and you always give me my room. When I got that, I felt like such a bad person.
Here's one of my buddies calling that does not know I'm on air every single day.
So I apologize. But I get excited and I nerd out.
I know. That's why I said please, as opposed to what the hell, man.
I would have been a lot more sarcastic in my text. Going, hey, dude, I'm here too.
Right. Oh, wait, I made a mistake. It's actually episode 563, not 562. Thank you, producer Suzanne, for your dogged desire to tell the truth.
Just so I'm clear, how many shows have I been on out of the 563?
Not sure, honestly.
Is it 500? It can't be 500, is it?
No. I must have done at least 150. I don't know. We've been at this now almost, 10 months, a year and 10 months now, doing these almost daily. So
it's a lot of shows.
I don't know. Right. I got to go back. I'll find that answer out. I don't know.
It just doesn't seem like we've done 50 of them.
I know. It's just so awesome. I just love doing this.
You know what I was thinking about? Wouldn't it be cool if we sent every person that's been on our show a holiday present? And then I realized how much time and energy that would take from our team. And it was like, next year we have to do something where maybe we have a virtual holiday party,
right?
Where we bring all the people on and we do something in the metaverse.
Yeah. Well, we're working on that, Anthony.
Yeah, I know.
Excited about it. And I think maybe we could do it for a special occasion, maybe like Arbor Day or, Punxsutawney Phil Day or something like that, Groundhog Day.
Or we should do it like the first day a real motel was functioning in the United States.
Say it again. What was that?
The first day of a real hotel opening in the United States.
What year was it?
I said we should take the anniversary of the first time like a motel opened in the United States.
That'll be tough to figure out. Maybe we'd have to.
I guarantee you the people at American Hotel Register in their museum has that information.
Yeah, maybe. All right. If anyone knows an answer, drop it to us. Otherwise, we'll just do maybe Kevin Willison's first Holiday Inn or something.
63 to 5. We went from 63 to 500. Look how fast that went since August. Oh my God.
Wow.
But again, I got. I'm sorry. Do we give you permission? come on?
Not only did we not give permission, but she muted herself too.
In Boston,
yeah.
The Omni Parker House had been the longest continuously operating hotel since 1855. They actually did have to close due to COVID. So that was just in Boston, but I could find out more information on that.
But anyway, we'll have a party around something like that.
That's right. But, all right. I'll tell you what I want to have a party around. Oh, I want it to be a party around people listening to the audio version of our podcast. That's right. Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you like to get your shows. Well, goodness gracious, that's where we are. For some reason, if we're not, drop us a line. Of course, he's at Anthony Hotels, and I am at Traveling Glenn. Anthony, tomorrow's going to be another fun show. I bet if I only knew who was on it.
Can I say something while you're looking at who's on it?
I already know, but yes.
Okay, I got another. Go ahead, tell us, and I got to complain.
Jason Fuden returns from Y Hotels for an update on what's going back. He was here also about a year ago, I think.
Yeah, I remember him. Now I got a question. Not a question. I have to say something. I had a friend call me up and he goes, "Hey, Anthony, I saw your LinkedIn thing and you got 400 views on the podcast. Though it's a big podcast.
Right.
Do you want to say it? Do I want to say it? Most people listen on.
Let me give you a graphic to say
audio podcast.
Yeah.
And most people listen to podcasts on audio.
Yep.
Very few people listen to the live version because they have busy lives. The reason we do the live version and the reason we do it this way is because it works for us. Our energy's better.
That's right.
It's I want to look guests in the eye.
That's
I want to be able to have those moments where you just can't get when we're all on headphones and we're not on video. So it was Glenn's idea to do it. I think it's a great idea. But the podcast, we have a tremendous viewership. But it is not, people aren't listening to it live. They're mostly listening to it on their podcast. So to all my friends out there, stop please asking me that question.
Just suck it, because we are in the top 1% of all podcasts on this.
No, it's just it's more maybe my insecurity or my vanity. It's like, dude, I wouldn't be doing a podcast if I got 300 views a day.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Not a good use of our time. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See you all tomorrow.